Aspiring musician Miguel enters the land of the dead. Confronted with his family's ancestral ban on music, he must find his great-great-grandfather, a legendary singer, to return to the land of the living.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 42.
42.
all day.
All day.
Oh.
Was that your
Was
grito?
that your grito?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Was it pretty good?
No.
All right.
You got it, man.
Thank you.
got
You
it.
guys, confession.
The only one whose opinion matters.
Okay.
We're on episode 42. We're talking about
Gritos.
Coco Loco.
Coco.
Coco, Mama Coco. Confession to make before we start this episode. I cannot do that.
What is that?
Parcel tongue?
What was
What is that?
What were you trying to do?
You trying to sick a snake on someone?
Like, I can't, you know how Hispanic people roll their R's? I can't do that. I can't do that.
Okay,
Ooh,
well, first
ooh,
off,
you're
man.
eating the-
You're doing a lot of wrong stuff with your tongue there.
you're trying
Pretty
to eat
sure
the
I heard
nubbin
some
off the
teeth
top of
click
the
somewhere in there.
I wish you guys
Why are
could
you
see
making
her.
pee noises too? Pra, 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 pra.
It's a
I'm
comic
done,
book.
You're
guys.
done. You're
It's
not allowed to be
apparently
on here
it's parcel tongue.
Say grito.
Grito.
You said it right the first time.
Grito.
It's just
There
a
you go.
long R, just more R's.
But then I'm just saying it like a D. Like, I can't
That's fine.
actually
Yeah.
do
D's
that.
better
I mean-
than whatever you were doing.
Yeah, this is what I was doing. Oh, I kind of did it.
No, you sound like a horse.
So you were pre-neighing then.
Nays before bays. Continue.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That was a major callback to a previous episode.
Nays.
Nays
Before
before bays. Was that like the Hercules episode or something?
Was
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
from Hercules. Yeah.
Yes. Nailed it. All right.
Well, we're talking about Coco, and we
Yeah.
know all of you listeners
We know
must be so excited
that you're listening.
that you're listening. What's your first impression, Andre?
This movie is the best.
I was worried
Like,
about
I
where you were
don't-
going with that.
Was it a
There's-
question?
Because there's not even like
Whose
any
toes
other
are these?
words to describe it. Whose toes are these?
Sorry.
It's been a long day, guys. We're going to be a little loopy.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Yeah, there's not too many other words to describe it. It's a fantastic movie. It's near perfect in my mind, I think. So yeah, first impression, just perfect.
Boom.
Very good. Luis, first impression.
Definitely a tearjerker.
Ooh, for sure.
No, it's a tear bringer because Luis cries every time.
How
Boom.
can you not?
I don't cry.
Nobody believes you.
I definitely, we watched it with you and you cried. So, yeah, you know.
Michelle, what's your first
What are you guys talking
Oh.
about? You never pay attention to me
Oh.
when we're hanging out, so you don't know.
That's
You-
true.
you
We always forget
pay
you're there.
Attention to you. Said no one ever. My
you
first
sniffle.
impression of this movie was it was amazing. Luis is gonna get mad that I'm gonna say this probably, but do you guys remember? Think a long time ago when you saw Frozen for the first time and you were like, "Wow!" because it like took a turn for the different and it was like so amazing and the music was great. This definitely had that same effect where I immediately saw it and was like, oh my goodness, what did they do? Like it was something new and fresh and exciting, and we had only gotten sequels from Pixar for like 3 years, so it's hands down like one of the best Pixar movies there is, for sure.
Word.
Emily, first impression.
Very good. Very, 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 very good.
Very, very good.
Very good, very good.
The first time I saw it, I agree with you. I thought, wow, very different. And I think that's what makes it stand out so much is that it's really good, but it's really different. And I think a lot of times people get worried when something is different because who knows if people are going to receive it really well. And I'm just really happy that a lot of people enjoyed it.
But if someone does different and original stories well, it's Pixar. Like, I don't think I ever get nervous when I'm like, oh, here comes an original movie, not a sequel. I'm usually like, thank goodness. Like, let's get another original movie out of them, because the writers and creators, especially for this movie, were amazing. Like, I don't think I've heard of one person say they didn't like this movie.
Right. Yeah. No negative reviews that I've seen.
Or that I know of. Like, I know a lot of people, and I've never had them be like, oh, Coco wasn't that great. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny because before we recorded today, I was looking up stuff just to kind of see what people, like, if people had any negative things to say about it. And there were some, but it wasn't about the quality, like the movie itself. It was about like cultural appropriation and things like that, which is going to be on a totally different level. But the quality of like what they did with the movie is not questioned anywhere that I could find.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Impossible.
I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure, maybe we can talk about this first, but I'm pretty sure this had to have been one of the most visually stunning and appealing movies. So Andre and I actually saw this movie in the theater, and Luis and Emily did. So it will be interesting to see our different perspectives on that. But the colors are so extremely vibrant. Mama Coco's face, just down to the wrinkles, are so intricate and so lifelike. And the land of the dead and all of that is just, I don't know how long it took them to make this movie, but it's absolutely visually stunning.
Her wrinkles were definitely very much real. You could probably even do your laundry on her face.
Whoa.
Oh my
Most
God. What is going on?
Yeah.
This
That's
is
how
really
real it was.
Luis, watching this movie, did you get any like flashbacks to your childhood at all?
Growing up in Mexico, playing music,
No.
making shoes.
I just mean anything. So, okay, because I had like a flashback to my childhood, and you guys are gonna make fun of me like hardcore. I was hoping Luis would open with like nice flashbacks, and I'm just gonna have a weird one. Okay, so Miguel's grandma, not Coco, not the great grandma, but just his grandma. I can't remember what her name is.
I'll tell you her
Which
name
one?
right now.
Imelda?
No,
No.
not Imelda. Miguel's just regular grandma, the one that's like, no music, and throws
Elena.
chancla.
Elena.
Elena. Yeah, so Grandma Elena, when she moves, this is going to sound so bad, guys. I can't even say this. Okay, like, ladies have underarm flab. We do. But when she moves, like, the way her underarm flab is wrinkled and moves extremely reminds me of my grandmother, because when I was a kid, I used to go up to her arms and play with her arm flab all the time, and I don't know why, but she used to think
Play
it was,
with it.
Yeah, I used to go like this.
So you used to swing
Can you
off of
stop
that?
touching me? What is wrong with you? Mine's
it
not
to
even that flabby. Screw you. Luis has
Luis
no flab.
flexed on purpose. But anyways, I just thought, stop it, yes.
I did it to
Okay,
Michelle.
mine's for sure flabby, guys. It's fine. But only Pixar would do something like that, where I'm like, oh man, now that reminded me of my grandma, which is pretty. I love you, Grandma.
Luis, do you want to tell us how it reminded you of your childhood, please?
It's better than underarm flab.
And I'll be honest with you, my family isn't very traditional when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the best thing I can say culturally that it reminded me of my family is definitely my mom overfeeding us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want more
So what I
tamales,
heard was
Miguel?
you want more tamales.
But more so,
Lord knows that still happens to this day.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
am I fat?
no, but more so now as a father, I'm looking at my mom whenever she babysits Adeline. She like, Mom, quit giving her food.
Chill out.
Stop.
She's like, she's hungry.
No,
survive.
she's not. Stop.
It's a grandma's job. That's what they do.
Oh, Lord.
Fatten you up. Those tamales look good, though.
Yeah, they did.
So there's a lot of grandmas in this movie.
There's a few, yeah.
There's grandma. What did you say?
Elena.
Coco,
Imelda.
and Imelda.
Yes.
And Imelda is hands down the best grandma.
Yes.
In my opinion.
So the interesting thing about this movie is that there are so many characters that make up the Rivera family. And I mean, when you first start watching it, you see all of the living characters kind of going about their day-to-day lives. And actually, Miguel's the one who explains the matriarchal kind of family tree of how Mama Imelda had, was a super cool lady, and she was
super cool.
She was super
She
cool.
hated music, loved shoes. She was a super cool lady.
She didn't hate music at first.
Right.
Calm
So
down.
she was
Okay.
married to a musician, and then he was no good, and he walked out on them. And
So
her and her
she was a single mom.
So she was a single mom trying to raise her family, and so she went into the shoe business. And then literally every person, it seems like she met, ended up in this shoe business with
Yeah.
her. So her two brothers ended up in the shoe business with her, Felipe and Oscar. And then her daughter, Socorro, or Coco, ended up in the business with her husband and her husband's sister, Rosita. And then their kid, Elena, and Victoria ended up in the shoe business, and it kept on going from there. So literally, this entire Rivera family ended up being shoemakers and hating music because of that good-for-nothing musician.
Because of Mommy Imelda. But yes, the good-for-nothing musician, but also Mommy Imelda.
Yeah.
Yeah, she stayed bad mouthing him until the day she died, and then far
And you know
long
what?
after.
Death,
Far
she was
long
bad.
after that. I wouldn't take it past any of those ladies to be like, oh, heck no, in the afterlife. So
Right.
they kept it going. So
They're all feisty.
So that's where the story kind of starts. We find out that there is no music in this very musical-loving country. Literally, the entire country, the entire city, everything about this town that they live in is musical, and they're the only non-music-loving Mexicans in the world, pretty much.
Honestly, like, that's the hardest thing for me to like suspend my disbelief for, is that this family hates music and doesn't want it anywhere. Like when the grandma was like yelling at the dudes who are playing the accordion out on the street, I was just like,
No
how
music.
are you just avoiding music every single where you go? I don't understand how you do
But
it.
it honestly doesn't look like they go to the plaza or anywhere where there is music and mariachi, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And I guess they don't have really they're not like having TVs and radios and stuff where
Yeah.
they are sharing the music.
Yeah.
They're making shoes.
They're just making
They're
shoes.
making shoes.
They listen to the sweet music of those sewing machines or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. At the beginning of this movie, I was like, "Is this Footloose but for music?"
Right,
Because that's
yeah.
like the vibes I got.
Totally.
I was like, "Okay, so no dancing, no music." There, but it definitely took a turn. Whoa, did it?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because the first time I heard about this movie, I was super excited because of the idea of having a minority-centered movie. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that they've done movies on monsters and on fish, but those aren't minorities. Like, I want a real.
Finally, a movie for me, The Fish.
You know, fish are going extinct.
I know, right? They're becoming a minority, endangered. But it was really cool because we were going to take this different turn. But the first thing I thought of was the movie The Book of Life, which came out probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe like 5 at this point. But
It's a cartoon, right?
it was.
Yeah, I
and
did
if you
see
think
it.
about it, it has very similar themes. They talked about music. They talked about death,
The
the Day of the
Dia
Dead,
de los
going
Muertos.
between the two different worlds, with a boy character who played the guitar. I mean, the similarities were definitely there.
Right.
So at first I was a little worried because I thought, how much different can these stories really be? But obviously Pixar goes and they do their Pixar thing,
Doing a thing.
doing their thing. And I think they did a really good job keeping the coming of age story and the family tradition alive in this movie, while the other one was more about love and bravery. I think this one was more about like the family aspect.
Yes.
And
Definitely, this movie had like the hardcore family values.
which was really cool. So I enjoyed the fact that you have these two seemingly very similar movies. They go to the same place, they're doing the same types of things, but they're completely different.
Yeah.
So I agree with you when you said you feel the Footloose vibes. I got the same vibes kind of going the other way.
Yeah.
But they all were very different, so that's cool.
And honestly, like I didn't pay attention to like previews or anything necessarily. I've honestly been trying to get away from trailers more recently going into movies, just because I like to be surprised. That sometimes I feel like trailers ruin it. But Andre and I did see at California Adventure before we saw the Coco movie. There was like this little Coco
Was it like the
mariachi
preview?
show. No, remember they sang the song like "Remember Me"
That's right.
and stuff like that.
In California
and
Adventure,
then they were like,
they
"It's
pulled out
about a
some
shoemaker,"
characters.
and then we were like, "Shoemaker." Then we just thought the whole movie was about shoes. So going into it, we really didn't know what it was about necessarily, and I think in that way it impacted us even more.
Yeah.
because
it really has
that
nothing
little
to do
show
with
made it
shoes.
seem like it was like this family of shoemakers, and we were like, well, what? Okay, so now it's about shoes, but that's really not what it's about. It's like you said, it has the whole like family first and acceptance of, you know, what Miguel wanted to do in the family, getting the blessings and all.
Yeah.
The blessings and all.
This movie, I saw it as an adult, right? Came out 2017, last year. But
Wow, you're an adult.
yes, it's wild. But I like, you know, for most Disney movies and kids movies in general, now that I'm an adult, I can really empathize with the adults in the movies and kind of the kids in the movies in more of like a nostalgic kind of way,
Right.
like remembering how to be a kid and stuff like that. But for this movie in particular, I was with Miguel every step of the way. All the adults were wrong. Miguel was right the entire time. It was like frustrating for me watching this movie. I was like, let him play his guitar. Come on, Graham, put your chancla away. Stop beating up that mariachi dude.
It was very frustrating.
It's not
I
fair.
agree. Well, and I think it's cool that you say that, because I was able to watch it as through child's eyes too, because the moment that he picked up Ernesto de la Cruz's guitar, strummed it for the first time, and then was transported kind of immediately into like the afterlifey type world before he got to the land of the dead, I felt like a kid watching him running through this graveyard,
Right.
bumping into ghosts. And then when he finally gets to the land of the dead and you see all these amazing, just
Looks crazy.
out of this world, literally, animation, you feel like a kid looking at that, because that's not anything that we've ever seen before. It's not like underwater.
The
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I can
Yes.
imagine what underwater
Exactly.
looks like.
The Land of the Dead is so whimsical, and it's like my favorite is when they're in the Land of the Dead. For some reason, it looks to me like something out of like a steampunk movie, like
A little bit.
Like it looks kind of steampunkish, and then I love like even their clothes. Like if you watch it again, like think steampunk, and for some reason, I think like they took some inspiration from that. But I just love that everything is old. Like those 80s computers that they have, like, come on. That's
It's amazing that they have
original
computers in there at all.
Macintosh Apple computer.
funny because they're in the Land of the Dead, so they just get all the dead technology, apparently. I don't know. But
Well, it's hilarious
it's
because
funny.
my mom was watching this with us the first time, and she goes, "Oh my god, I had that computer, Emily! Do you remember we had that computer?" And I was like, "Mom, I wasn't
Devil
born
box.
then."
The devil box.
By steampunk, you mean rockabilly?
No.
No.
Steampunk,
Steampunk.
like
Steampunk.
You know what steampunk is?
steampunk is like it's like
Industrial kind of.
it's like 1880s fashion with like
Dirty grunge.
some dirty grunge and like some extra technology in there. So like
So it's like the 1980s.
no, not the
Industrial
not the
Revolution.
1980s. No, like
the
like
1880s.
older than that. It's
Okay.
it's like
Industrial
vests
Revolutions.
and goggles.
It's a lot of
and
industrial stuff. Yeah, like thick goggles and like
lot
So
of browns.
Old timey wimey.
Yeah, it's like timey
Yeah,
wimey,
it's
but
kinda
with more
timey-wimey.
clocks.
Okay.
But the trolley that they ride like above for some reason made me think steampunk a lot.
What is this picture that you're showing
Emily,
us
that's
as
not
a demonstration
steampunk.
of
Okay,
steampunk?
first off, that is a steampunk mask of a rabbit.
Someone
Might
going
as
to
well just
Nocturnal
show-
Wonderland, I guess.
Anywho, let's get past it, because honestly,
It's the Industrial Revolution. Just tell me that, and I
Sure,
understand.
yes.
Okay,
well, here's the deal.
But, like,
I read
with
up a little
robots.
bit on the theming of all of the pieces of clothing, and apparently here's a cool thing: over 500 individual pieces of clothing were designed for the masses, the crowds in Santa Maria. Am I saying that? That's not the right name of the town.
I don't remember.
It's something else.
San Lorenzo?
No.
Santa Lucia?
No.
No.
Dang it. I'll get it in a second. But so between the city and the Land of the Dead, they really went through the two different major provinces in Mexico. Luis, I told you what they were. What were they?
Oaxaca and Guanajuato.
Thank you. So they went through these two major areas, and they literally would draw what people were wearing day to day, like what they were wearing there. And so it's funny that you say steampunk, because steampunk in our minds takes us back a long time.
Right.
But these are a little bit more, rural areas. And that's probably, I'm not saying they're wearing 1800 clothes, but like they're wearing less
The fashion of today has not influenced.
Right.
those
It's
Right.
not
They're not
quite
there.
as
preserved
modern.
areas of Mexico, if you ask me.
Except for the brother who's wearing a Mexico jersey, which was hilarious.
Cousin.
Oh, cousin.
That's
Well,
right.
whatever. He was funny. Abel.
Yes.
Abel. The cousin Abel. Anyhow.
Abel. I'm pretty sure this family tree is more confusing than the
Abel?
Meet the Robinsons.
Abel.
No,
Oh, yeah, Meet
I
the
take it
Robinsons.
back.
Meet the Robinsons was a
way
lot.
more
Much
confusing.
worse.
Yeah.
That was terrible. Waste of a family tree.
Whoa.
Whoa, calm down,
Man,
sir.
some heat thrown against
So,
Meet the Robinsons.
our
I
main
enjoyed
character,
that movie.
Coco. I mean, I guess she's not the main character. Our main character,
She's the title character.
Miguel. I know, which was so interesting to me that the movie was named Coco, because I couldn't figure out like why they had named the movie Coco until the end.
Well, yeah. It's
I was like, why is his name Coco?
It's
I
like
thought it had something to do with chocolate.
Me too.
Chocolate, that's cacao.
it's like everybody's motivation in the movie is technically Coco, right? Like Miguel, he has to get back to the land of the living to help Coco remember her father, and then Hector is trying to get his picture on the ofrenda so that he can talk to Coco, and then even like the grandma Elena is like, my mom, she's just here and she doesn't have much time left and you have to spend time with her, and
don't be a butt. Like,
Yeah.
don't bug her.
so like everything kind of
Stop
centers,
luchadoring her.
Everything kind of centers around Coco.
Let's admit it. If Elena saw the luchador thing that Miguel did, he would have gotten whooped into the land of the dead.
When he puts the mask on her
He would have
face.
gotten whooped into the land of the dead.
She laughed. She thought it was funny.
Coco did,
I
but not
think of
Elena. Elena
Yeah,
would've
Coco
whooped
did.
him.
I think of it more as not that their motivations are based on Coco, like a lot of them are, but like seeing the progression of the characters coming together as a family and like accepting each other as a family, not being, because maybe this is just the thing, like there's times where my family where they're like, family's everything, you have to hang out with us because we're a family, and that to me is not like what makes a family necessarily. It's like the relationships and the acceptance, and that like you'll be there for each other and help, not
Support.
like we're gonna be a family, so let's have dinner together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they kind of go from that like very strict, like not everyone's on the same page family, and that the progression happens immediately when Coco starts kind of like she almost like awakens out of her dementia when finally her family has come together and like accepted each other.
Well, it's interesting
so I
too
almost
because
think of it as like the awakening of like, oh, this is what a family was meant to be. We shouldn't be forcing him into things, you know?
Well, I think it's really interesting because of the way that they play the family dynamic in this particular movie. So it's extremely matriarchal. Every single woman character is strong, outspoken, independent,
In
but
charge,
but very reminiscent, respectful of their elders. So even though Mama Imelda is dead, her wishes are being carried out to the T.
Oh yeah.
And then Elena, now that she's the last one, Coco is the last one alive, like the oldest, but because she has dementia, she's not able to kind of carry on what her mom wants to do, which I kind of think like in life I would have liked to have seen her. Like,
Yeah,
she couldn't have been
I wonder
as hard
how,
on
if
them.
Coco was
Exactly,
like
yeah.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
She couldn't have been as hard as them. But I feel like Elena just picked up where Imelda was left off. But it's funny because even though like Miguel's mom, who married into the family, right? She is also very respectful and everything, but she's listening to everything that her mother-in-law is saying.
Right.
Like she's like, no, Miguel, like you have to listen to.
Grandma says, "Don't go to the plaza. Don't go to the plaza."
Like you ain't going to no plaza.
And I kind of think is that like how Hispanic culture is like the women.
Well, I know that when I was reading up on the research for this movie, they said that a lot of what they had written was very in an American way. We would call it harsh.
Right.
Like instead of the chancla, right? Like throwing the chancla at someone and then like telling them to go pick it up, it was like a wooden spoon, and they were like beating them with it.
Right.
And in in some cultures, that is not seen as
No.
like capital punishment.
Right. It's
I
not-
got
You know
the
what I mean?
belt
It's
growing
not,
up.
it's not
yeah.
necessarily abuse. In,
Do you know what I mean?
In some
but
cultures.
they wanted to they didn't want it to be lost, like the family aspect to be lost, so they softened it up. But they did find that especially in those areas, matriarchy was just really prevalent, which I think is really cool because I think of Luis's family. Luis just walked out of the room, so I guess he can't comment on
Yes,
this.
he's gone.
But we have talked about it in the past. I mean, you see so many strong Hispanic women who, of course, you know, they're in relationship with their husband and everything, but they run the show.
Oh, yeah, they're fiery.
They're fiery, and I think that that's really cool that we kind of see that relationship come through in this movie because it is different than what we're used to.
Right.
We're used to seeing the man in charge. We're used to seeing him make all the decisions. And in this way, I love how in no uncertain terms, the man walked out and she was like, I don't need you.
Right.
I'm
I don't
making
need
my
you
life.
or anything you
She's
were
like, guess I'll
about.
learn how to make some chanclas.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Like, I dig that because when do you ever really hear about, like, I mean, we see it on TV and stuff about single moms, but they literally just took that story, spun it, and made her, like, totally amazing.
Right. She owned her. She started and owned her own business.
You know what? Mama Imelda's still running things in the land of the dead.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she
She
is.
created a legacy for herself and for
Yeah, she
her
did.
entire family
And I appreciate that. I think it's
without
just
the
so
help of her deadbeat husband. Literally deadbeat husband.
I love
dead
Hector.
and beat, dead and beat husband. I love it.
You know what I love Hector is oh my god, I just feel bad when they're like, chorizo.
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 I don't know about you guys, but if I had to go, you know, because of food, I think that'd be the best way to go.
With chorizo,
Yeah.
I just
I
want to
mean-
like try something so hot that I just like died.
I don't want it to be
Exit
painful.
No.
It's painful.
I'd go out eating a lobster. I'm allergic. Nice.
That's even worse. Your airway would close up.
It would be delicious. That's fine. The point is, I don't know. I think Hector, I mean, he's definitely misunderstood, but she literally thought that he left. She probably didn't even know he died.
Right.
Until,
Yeah. I don't think
no.
she did.
She
I mean,
doesn't
she knows
until
she
the
was
end.
dead because she's like, how many times do I have to send you
Right.
away? Like, she knows he's in the land of
Oh
the
yeah.
dead.
Once
know why.
she
But
dies,
my
yes.
thing is,
No,
is
she didn't know he
I-
was dead until she was dead.
Right. Exactly.
Because
That's
if
what
you
I'm
think about like how old they look, like
Well,
by
and
the
that's
time
what I was gonna say. I think that when they die, the age that they died at is what they're staying.
Oh, 100%.
So she should have known that he had died way earlier and like
Yeah.
been able to figure it out, maybe. But
Well, I mean, that's why, like, it's actually very sad because at first I thought it was cute. Like, oh, look at that cute little baby. Like, the little baby was a, was a skeleton.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh no, that baby probably died,
Died
like,
as a baby.
as
Yeah.
a baby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, and then that's why, like, at the end you see Mama Coco and she looking like
She's
a,
old.
like
She's
a old.
Yeah.
you know, she
Skeleton.
older than both of them.
Right?
Mhm.
But so you're very right. The way that the time in which they died is how they look in the afterlife. So yeah, no, he been dead.
Right.
He been dead.
But yeah, so like that's the thing is that there are several generations in the past that they died ago, right? So when Hector died, he was probably
He
like,
looks pretty young.
He looked young, but he was probably like sending letters to Imelda and Coco, you know. So she probably never received any of those or
It's
what
just
have
sad.
you. So
It's sad.
she
And
did
then
not know that
I
he was
honestly
gone.
I love Hector and Imelda. I love at the end when you know we figured out that Ernesto de la Cruz is the villain and that he murdered Hector. And she's like, I can't forgive you, but I will help you. And then immediately, like 5 minutes later, she's like, the love of my life. I'm like, oh yeah, you love him, girl. I love her. I think she's so great. She is great, and so is Hector.
So here's the
They're
deal.
super cute.
We skipped over the
Yeah, we
entire
did.
plot.
Sorry.
Like the
Right,
entire plot.
Yeah, we
Pretty
did.
much, long story short, they're shoemaking. Miguel is the youngest kid-ish in the family. He's on the younger side. There's other little ones, but he comes in and you can tell off the bat loves music. All he wants to do is be like his complete and utter
Hero.
idol hero, Ernesto.
de la Cruz.
de la Cruz.
And who did I say it was? Benjamin Bratt?
Yes, Benjamin, played by Benjamin Bratt.
I freaking love it. Anywho, so their town has a sculpture of him in the center. They have literally a musician's plaza. Like,
The dude is
He's
famous.
from there.
yeah, so like the whole the whole area is in love with this dude, and Miguel is no exception. He has like kind of his own Ernesto like shrine.
Mm-hmm. Like in Hey Arnold.
Exactly. He makes his own guitar. He learns how to play guitar off of old VHS
VHS tapes.
Vici tapes. And it becomes enthralled with this character. And after going back and forth, you realize that it's the Day of the Dead. And this is the day where the spirits of past family members can cross over, but you have to put their pictures up on the ofrenda. And Luis, will you explain to our listeners what an ofrenda is?
It's just like...
Does ofrenda just mean offering?
Yes. Dictionary term, that's what it
Sure.
would be. But it is also kind of like a shrine.
Yeah.
To your... your relatives, your
Loved ones?
I don't want to say ancestors because that seems more
older, but
pretty much it's like a shrine that you put up, not necessarily to worship them,
but just to remember
because
them.
in Mexican Catholicism that's not what it's about. It's more to honor them.
So you want to remember them. So a lot of times I think they put out the pictures, obviously. They put out the foods that they like to eat in life. And then they share stories, talk about them as the day goes on. It's the time that they can...
My Alfreda would have so much food.
But it's not for you.
Churros. Yeah, isn't it things I like to eat?
No. The stuff that dead people like to eat.
Yeah, so if I was dead... My ofrenda.
Oh, your ofrenda. I thought you meant like the ofrenda in your house right now.
No, like my ofrenda will be chock full of churros.
I hope you die first so I can eat all that.
Excuse me, it's for me.
So
Michelle would want this.
I know. Michelle would have loved eating this with me.
I'm like, excuse me? Get out of here. This is my ofrenda.
This is my house. Ha. As you eat your popcorn. All right. So they're going through Day of the Dead, ofrenda, blah, blah, blah. Grandma Elena finds out that
Miguel.
Cutie face. Miguel. Thank you. I was going to call him
Cutie
Oscar.
face.
I don't even know who Oscar is. Finds out that Miguel has this guitar and she flips. She
Destroys it.
breaks it, destroys it, and he's trying to share. I think that our missing man, our missing grandpa, is Ernesto de la Cruz. So he runs to the shrine of Ernesto de la Cruz in their city, and he sees that his guitar is up there because he had a very similar guitar in the picture that he had of Mama Coco, or Grandma Coco and Mama Imelda. So he picks up the guitar. He goes to strum it because he wants to enter a contest.
Yeah, like a talent show.
He wants to enter a talent show, but now he doesn't have a guitar. So he goes to go not steal it, but kind of steal it. Borrow from his grandpa. And lo and behold, because he just robbed a grave, literally, he gets cursed.
Yeah, you can't rob graves.
Grave robbing.
It's so interesting that this movie centers so heavily around death and the afterlife and graves and curses, but it's so light and
it's not scary at all.
It's not terrifying. It's very it takes death as like a completely natural state of life, right? Like this is gonna happen, it happens, and it's fine to talk about it and discuss.
And you don't see people like weeping,
right? Yeah,
it's not like
it's a day of celebration.
My God. They're not sad about it. They're just moving on and they're remembering like all the good times, which is actually kind of
it's pretty
uplifting.
nice.
Telling stories.
Like that's a way cooler like funeral concept than
exactly.
like what we do. I don't know.
Black suits, and no food. God.
And rain.
Yeah, why is it always raining? Ugh.
But anywho, so Miguel ends up in the crossover time between he's pretty much in the graveyard where the spirits all will cross over into the land of the living, and he finds his family, loses his business, if you can imagine that. He sees all these skeletons everywhere, and then he ends up going over into the land of the dead.
Yeah. They have a pretty cool system at the Land of the Dead where if you're dead, you have to have your picture hung up on an ofrenda by your family, or anybody that remembers you from your time of living. And in order to give back, you have to get like scanned at the entrance point, which is really cool.
Congratulations, your photo has been placed on your ofrenda.
Yeah, and
enjoy your trip.
It's a pretty sophisticated system because you can't just dress up as Frida Kahlo and get through.
Which was hilarious.
The lady that does the scanning reminded me of tour guide Barbie from Toy Story.
For
2.
sure.
Congratulations.
It's a very fascist system, though, if I may add. The
Oh.
fact that you need to be identified in order to go past into the.
It's literally a checkpoint. Let's be real. You are not getting through without your proper documentation.
Exactly. You got to have your papers.
like the real ID thing going on.
Yeah.
It's true.
Exactly.
It's so true, though. I actually have I have a couple really cool Easter eggs, but this one was funny because it was about that portion, right, of the movie. And it's really interesting because, as we've talked about before, John Ratzenberger voices characters in all kinds of Pixar movies.
Yes.
And in this one, he plays Juan Ortodoncia, and he's the skeleton that's visiting his dentist. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right.
And they're
Yep, you got to
It's been
pick up
placed
on your
dentist
ofrenda.
ofrenda.
but it's extra funny because it's the dentist office from Finding Nemo.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so it's extra funny
Oh,
because
that's
it's his
amazing.
voice, but then it's also it shows in the background you can tell that it's from Finding Nemo. So I
That's
thought that was really, really, really funny.
incredible, man. That dentist, he's really good because I'm pretty sure he was Australian.
Right? And he's crossing over in
Yeah.
Mexico dude, I need to go get my teeth done.
This is
Heading
the best,
out.
the best dentist in the world.
I dig it. I think
he
that's
very much
really
cares about his patients. He's putting them up on
That is so
ofrendas.
funny.
That Australian dentist is very culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
He's like,
Awesome.
I want a return service, so I'm gonna
Your dentist
with his
ofrenda.
cultural things and give him an ofrenda.
You don't have any family? I'll put you up on an ofrenda. Sure.
She's like, I don't have any family.
Open wider.
Okay. Let's move on from the ofrenda.
Lost double. We'll call it a day.
Okay, so after Miguel gets there, he gets through security. He finds his family. They realize that they have to send him back, but Mama Imelda is like, on one condition: you just have to never, ever, ever play music ever again in your life, ever. Which is upsetting to me.
And you know what? It's upsetting to all of us because we're all music-loving people, even if we're not musical ourselves, right? But it's funny because Miguel at first, and I even thought this too, I was definitely being a little kid in this movie. I was like, oh, okay, sounds good.
Sure.
Sounds
I
good,
promise
Mama.
I'll never play music
I will
again.
never, ever do it again,
No
right?
problem.
So she's like, sounds good. Sends him back, right? He ends up back in the Ernesto
same-
kind of temple thing,
Yeah.
and he goes to pick up the guitar
Immediately.
again.
Immediately
Like
goes
doesn't
back.
even care, and then he goes right back.
She's like, you didn't even last 1 minute.
I even thought that too. Like, dude, just say yeah. Like
Right.
every other movie you watch, and you're like, just agree with them.
Don't do it, man.
It was so beautiful because now he's back, and she's like, I know you ain't listening to me, kid.
And then he
Done.
literally runs away. He's like, forget this con permiso, I'm going to go use the bathroom. He's like, peace out, guys. My family's not going to do it. Because he really does think Ernesto de la Cruz is his family. So he's like, okay, well, I'll get him to give me a blessing.
Yeah, so he goes on the hunt for him. He
Well,
meets
and all the
Hector.
meanwhile, we see Hector trying to get through.
Oh, my God, Hector.
He's trying to get through the checkpoint, and he's dressed up. The first time is the first time is Frida.
It's Frida Kahlo, yeah. Which he
Frida.
borrowed an outfit from
It is
Frida
me,
Kahlo.
Yes.
right?
Frida. Don't even scan me because I'm so famous.
And it's so bad, like totally not Frida. I mean, the outfit's good because,
Sure.
like Andre said, she does a show apparently, or she's in a show or producing a show. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so he has like a real outfit that she would wear, but he has like the fake eyebrow
peeps.
drawn on and stuff.
That
It's
was
awful.
the outfit of the papaya peeps.
Yeah,
So
but
the
it's
extra-
her
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
So
it
they're all
wasn't
dressed
her.
up as her.
Yeah, they're all dressed up as her.
Doesn't he get charged with possession of an illegal eyebrow or something
yes.
like that?
And then he's like, "Is that even an offense?" And he's like, "Yes, it's very, it's very serious."
Also, the fact that there's just rule in the land of the dead, that kind of sucks. He's probably like, man, getting arrested all the time. Jail over here.
Oh. And
Yeah.
so yes, he gets arrested ish, and
That's a
they
warning.
they tell him, dude, just get out of here.
Mhm.
Like your photo's not up on Ofrenda. Just let it go.
Right.
And
But-
he's super sad, and you don't really know why, but he just feels like he really needs to get back. But you assume everyone really wants to get back, right?
Sure.
But you find out very quickly that they can only go over once a year, so
Right.
it's really important that he does it tonight, apparently.
Because he's about to be forgotten.
I forgot.
It's so sad.
And that's when he meets Miguelito.
Yes, and it's very cute their relationship together, because it's very interesting, because like Miguel, when he's alive, he has such an affinity for music and playing guitar, and his idol is this dude that just happened to, spoilers, steal all of his ancestors' music. So like the fact that he's attracted to that particular music and that particular style of playing, and that guy is very cool. And then when he gets to the land of the dead and he meets Hector, they have like an instant connection, because they're related, and they don't realize that until
Because
until
Hector's
later.
the bomb. I love Hector.
Yes.
Which you would think,
Hector's cool.
at first, at least for me, when I first watched this, I knew I liked Hector right away, but I kind of was like waiting for him to be more, more of a con artist.
Mhm.
Like I was waiting for that,
For
because
him
I was
to be like a bad guy.
yeah, because I was kind of afraid, like
They
he
wanted
was-
you to think that.
Yeah,
though.
and I was like, ooh, like please don't be bad, because he was so cool,
Right,
right? You don't
yes.
want the cool guy to end up being bad.
Mhm.
But you realize, like Andre said, very quickly that he's going to be forgotten, and that when you're forgotten, you disappear
Just disappear.
indefinitely.
Yeah.
You gone.
He's gone.
And so it's really important to have your picture up on an Ofrenda.
Yeah, to be
Her
remembered.
name is Juanita. Each eye a different color. I love the music in this, guys.
Very fun.
I'm like thinking of it in terms of music. But yes, you disappear forever. And I also like the concept. So the,
About
gonna
to be
forgotten.
forgotten, or just hanging out with each other.
Well, and
Just a
this
little
is
sad.
this is so interesting, because this is something I was reading a little bit earlier, and apparently the way that oh gosh, now I can't even find it. Hold on. I don't even know if I need to read it. You could take this out.
Okay.
He
I
will,
got it.
don't worry.
Yeah.
It was about the way that the city's built.
You mean like a favela?
Kind of, but hold on. Damn it. Oh, okay. Sorry. So apparently, on the Pixar tour, they explain this, but the land of the dead, the way that the buildings are built up, are like the hills and the homes in Mexico. So the older the homes are found at the bottom, and they get newer as you go further up. So if you look really closely at the bottoms of everything, it's like Aztec and Mayan ruin looking, and that's like the bottom of the towers. And then as you work your way up, it goes like through colonial times, then through the Revolution, and then
Oh.
modern times are at the top.
That's awesome.
So once you get to the top, that's when it looks most technological. Like that's where all the crazy lights are.
That's where Ernesto's like stadium is.
Exactly. That's where
Yeah.
like the parties are at. That's where everything's crazy happening. So you can kind of see it when they walk over the bridge from the land. You see like the ruins, because they go down into the ruins. But then when they go into that kind of shanty town looking where everyone's about to
Yeah.
be forgotten, that's like the lowest broken down part of the ruins.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think like the oldest people are at the bottom.
Right.
And like the
'Cause
most
they're getting forgotten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the most remembered people are at the
At
top.
the top.
So it's really sad
it's a
when you think
class
about
Yeah,
it.
but that's
structure.
also like
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
really cool
Like it's a
concept.
caste system.
Yeah,
Social
exactly.
struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad.
It's quite sad.
What do you think, Lou? Anything else? Like I felt like you had a social struggle topic to share.
No. No, I didn't. It's just I'm
He's literally like Hector, because then Hector's like, well, happens to everyone eventually. And he's just like, let's move on. I was like, I wasn't done being sad there, sir. Like, okay. And then
What?
the best part of the movie happens.
When?
Un poco loco.
Yeah, so
I've been waiting for you to just freak.
Miguel
Un
gets his
poco
chance
loco.
to enter a talent show. It's just a dead talent show. He gets his guitar.
He's pretty chill about it though.
Hector helps him out.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna sing "Remember Me," and Hector's like, no.
And then everyone and their mother is singing "Remember Me." There's the lady with the glasses that's just playing "Remember Me." There's the opera singers that are singing "Remember Me." Yeah, overplayed. "Remember Me" is the "Let It Go" of this movie.
Right. Not yet.
But not
But
no,
in-
but,
in
but like
this world
but like
it
within
is.
the world.
Especially
to me, the
yes.
"Remember Me" song is fantastic, and I love all of the different versions of it.
I love every version of it.
I like
but
the
I love how
credit
Hector is
version.
over it.
yeah,
Hector's
He's
like,
ugh.
He's like, please
No, no,
don't.
no,
And
no,
then
no.
This
Miguel's
song I
like,
wrote.
Poco Loco. He's like, yeah, that's a real song. Which it is. It's so funny. I sing it all the time, especially when we're in the car driving to Disneyland, and I always tell Andre to do the ti 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 loco, and he never does it.
So do you?
I know all the words yet.
Oh,
That
that
wasn't his
the
question.
Do you know is that song? Was that song written for this movie, or is it a real original song that they just incorporated into this movie?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I
Okay.
think it was written for this movie.
Let me see. On here it says music by Jermaine Franco, lyrics by Adrian Molina, who is the co-director of this
Yeah.
movie. Okay, yeah.
Well, and the really interesting thing here too is the way that they incorporate all of the music in to the movie, because I won't lie to you, sometimes musical movies annoy me. Even though I'm a totally music loving person.
Yes.
But sometimes like when you're just walking and then they burst out in the sun.
Yeah, they don't do that in this movie.
It kind of bothers me.
Right.
It's sometimes because it can be done cheesily.
Yes.
Right?
Mamma Mia, here we go again.
You know what?
No.
I'm excited for that. I am excited
Everybody
for
shot me
double
down.
ABBA. Okay.
Hey.
That already came out. Y'all missed it.
Hey, you back up. You back up.
I did not like Mamma Mia. Anyway,
Here's the deal.
Keep backing up.
Super cheesy, right?
Yes.
But in this movie, it could have been done cheesy.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been, but they so beautifully wove the music into the storyline
Yes.
where they went to go sing a song. Like, it wasn't like they just started singing a song.
Right.
Like, every time that there is music, it is very intentional.
there's a direct story reason for all of the music.
and I
It's
freaking
good.
love that.
Yeah.
And I love that even in the Poco Loca song, the like in the background
His
that
feet?
sounds like a drum. It's his feet. It's his little tapping. He's tapping his skeleton feet. That's the best song, guys. But it's totally me because it's a silly song.
No, it's
very silly.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, so they go up on stage because they find out that if you win this contest, that you'll go and perform at Ernesto de la Cruz's like super cool party before
Blowout
he does
party.
his.
His like a
performance.
40s party. What is that? What
Over
is
the
that?
hill? No.
It's a Great Gatsby party. That's what.
Oh, yes.
sure, yes.
Exactly. They want to go to his Gatsby party so that he can tell him, like, A, you my grandpa, right? And I want your blessing so that I can go back. But also, I want to tell you, like,
So I don't have to quit music forever.
exactly. So him and Hector get up there. They rock it. And I'm pretty sure that they win.
probably would have
They
won,
were
yeah.
about to win.
They were about to win, but then all of Miguel's family shows up and is trying to find him, right? They're totally scared because
Right.
he's a human boy in this, like,
Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead.
Not supposed to be there.
And so Hector finds out that he's been missing because he told him that he didn't have any other family there. And that's when he really runs off on his own.
Yeah.
He runs he's just trying to get the heck out of there.
Sneaks into the party.
And he finds a way into the party. I mean, kind of.
Oh yeah, he sidles up with the other winners.
Yep.
And he like hides in a tuba or something like that. Is that what he does? Or
Yeah,
or,
Yep.
or
tuba.
does he dress up as a?
No, he
No,
hides
no.
in the
Yeah,
tuba.
he
He's
hides
in the tuba.
Nice.
Because this music is my language. And then that song plays. In the world, that's me familiar. That's a good song, too.
Your face when you sing these songs is too much. There's so much like vibrato in her face. Like I don't even know how that's a
Like
thing,
in
but
your
it
mouth.
is.
I
Like,
don't-
woo!
Surely that's not how you really sang.
No, it's not.
It's definitely not, but it's really funny.
But you
Great.
guys should know by now that that's what I do. It's what I do. Anyways, and then Ernesto, the
Miguel
funniest thing
gets
is
to meet
when
Ernesto.
he tells Ernesto de la Cruz, like, I'm your great grandson.
That was a lot of greats. I don't know.
I think there's
Three?
three greats in it.
Great grandson.
Okay, great grandson.
Mm.
And he's like, what? And he doesn't even doubt the fact that.
That's an issue.
It's like, oh
Because
yeah.
first of all,
I
I
could see
feel
many
like-
opportunities where that.
But I
could've
feel like
happened.
he would know, right? Like he goes to all these ofrendas because he's famous. So his picture is on so many ofrendas. But he should know he doesn't have a family because he doesn't go to see his family, you know? So to me, the fact that he believed that Miguel was his great grandson was a stretch to me. because I think he would know.
I think you explained it in your questioning of it. He's very famous.
Okay.
You know, he had a fairly long life before he was hit by that bell, and he had plenty of opportunities to not notice that he had started a family.
It's so funny you got hit by that bell. Okay,
If that's not karma, I don't know what else is. Like,
Exactly,
you got
right?
killed in the most ridiculous way possible. That's worse than
I think
choking
it's
on chorizo.
so
Exactly, right? They should be making fun of him, bell boy.
Got smashed by
Painful for sure.
he got smashed by a huge bell. That's hilarious.
Dong. So Miguel explains that he's Ernesto's grandson, and then they go on like a montage of just like having fun at this party, which is cool. And then
Dimple? No dimple. Dimple? No dimple.
Simple.
No dimple. Yeah.
yeah, and it is cool that Ernesto is like he's like proud of him. You know, he sees that he's there. He's like, oh, cool, I got a grandson. This is awesome. And then he like hangs out with him, and he sees how cool Miguel is and talented he is, and he's like showing him off at his party and showing him how many ofrendas he's on and stuff like that. And then he drops some bombs on him.
Hector sneaks in that Frida suit. Finally worked. He got in as Frida Kahlo.
Frida.
And then we find out that Hector really did know Ernesto de la Cruz. He wasn't just saying that. Like, he really did know him. Because at first I was like, nah, he doesn't know him. He's a liar.
Oh, I
Oh,
agree.
he
I
thought he was
totally
lying.
didn't think he knew.
Yeah.
That's why we
Ernesto.
were saying we thought he was like a con artist.
Yeah. So then comes like the best double twist
Ooh,
I've,
yeah, it was so
I've
good.
ever seen in a children's movie for sure. So you find out that before Ernesto was famous, he and Hector were a musical duo, and when they were on tour one time, Hector died. Oops.
No, but he was trying to leave.
Right. Hector was trying to go home.
Hector was like,
He's
I
like,
need to get
"I
back
can't
to my
do this."
Imelda.
Yeah.
Because
And my Coco.
I got
wanted
Coco's.
Coco. He wanted
I got
he wanted
Coco's.
to
I
put
got
down
Coco's to
roots.
sing too. So he was trying to leave. Hector, or no, not Hector. Ernesto was like, "Dude, you can't leave.
I'm
You're,
nothing
you're
without
the
you."
only talent in this duo. I can't write songs at all." So
Which it's funny because they both had their part to play, because Ernesto was definitely more the showman.
Right,
You know what I
yes.
mean? He
He's the
fits the
face.
part.
Mhm.
But Hector had all of the musicianship.
yes, exactly. So Hector or Ernesto does a
Poisons his
good old
tequila.
cheers to his good
First
race.
of all, where did he get that poison
To his
from?
long
Why
life.
did he just have poison?
That's what I told
Yo.
Luis. I'm like, dude, he just sitting there ready poised poison. Like, that is an issue.
Poised to poison.
Like, that's an ish.
Yeah, he. I don't know if he was planning it in advance to just like maybe he was just gonna like steal his
Dude,
songs.
he's just ready
He
to
just had some
poison people
poison.
at any time.
You know
poison.
what? You never know.
Poison.
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 So he poisoned him.
He did not choke on chorizo.
He was
He was
poisoned. And then back to the present. Ernesto locks Hector up, and then right as he's about to give Miguel his blessing, he's like, you know what? You seem like a kind of a snitch, kid. So I'm gonna lock you up too. He didn't want to be outed in the land of the living, because then he would have been taken off all the ofrendas and had a crappy afterlife, I guess.
He's like, nah, you getting stitches.
Right.
Get out of here.
You know what snitches get.
I'm going to move you right along into my hole of death, literally.
Forgotten.
So he like threw him in a hole,
Yeah,
right?
just a big hole. Because Hector's about to be forgotten, and then I guess Miguel will just live down there forever. I don't know what his
That's
plan
so
was.
awful.
Yeah.
You could just stay down there for another 200 years.
Because like,
But it's okay because Pepita saved him.
well, yes, but
well, yeah.
before that, you
Oh,
find
totally
out
skipped like the most important.
the
revealing
second part of
the
this
movie.
twist
Oh yeah.
is that as Miguel is talking to Hector in the hole,
In the hole.
he's discovering that Hector is the one who wrote "Remember Me" for Mama Coco way back in the day, making Hector Miguel's great-great-grandfather and not Ernesto, the murderer, the poisoner.
And he's like, I'm so proud that you're my grandpa.
Yeah.
And he's like, you are? And he's like, a minute ago I thought my grandfather was a murderer. You're a total upgrade.
Total upgrade,
I freaking
which
love
is
it.
great. Yeah. and then that sets them off on the way to being rescued
By Pepita
by Pepita
and Dante.
de Elebrije.
And Imelda, too, but Pepita and Dante's where it's at.
See,
The Jolo.
Sholo,
Sholo dog.
the Jolo.
Jolo.
The Jolo.
The Jolo dog.
The Jordan pizza.
The Jolo Slaglini.
No,
That's how it's spelled if you actually look at the name of that crazy dog.
it's cray.
Mm-hmm. So then it's a race to
get the photo.
Yes, to get the photo who Ernesto has in his pocket so that Hector can be put back on the ofrenda and remembered forever
And not forgotten.
and not forgotten.
Forever, ever.
Forever. And it's real close. It's a real close call because they crash Ernesto's party and then
His show.
his entire show.
His
Yeah,
sunrise
that's right.
Yes.
celebration.
The key thing about that show is that once that show's over, Miguel's stuck.
A
there for
skeleton.
life.
He's
When
dead.
the show's over, Dia de los Muertos is over, and Miguel can't go back.
And-
Hector will be forgotten.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's just all bad.
All bad.
So they literally steal the show. And
Yeah, Mama Imelda.
Mama
Mama Imelda.
hits them notes, singing.
You don't know.
That is literally one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie because the whole family runs in backstage. They're like going to catch De La Cruz before he goes up on stage. They don't want to be on stage.
Right.
They're just trying to catch him. So they're running around downstairs, like in between all like the
like fighting guards.
like the patrol. They see like Ernesto heads, like you could just see it.
The
Just totally
best
crazy.
part is when the like twin uncles, like one of them like takes off the other two's arm and like throws them around
Whipping them around.
like nunchucks. It's the best.
They're just getting it, right?
Yes.
And then Mama Imelda finally gets the picture and she stumbles backwards and she's like, I got it! But then she stumbles back onto the stage that's being propelled upwards that's going to put Ernesto up on stage. She ends up being the star, literally where Ernesto's supposed to be standing.
Right.
And then they're like, just sing.
Yeah.
And so as she's singing, she's starting this new song. All of the guards, all of the bodyguard dudes for Ernesto are trying to catch her.
They're like
So-
sneaking
like
up
very
on the stage.
sneakily.
they're sneakily coming up the left side of the stage, and she's coming down the right side
She's
of the
just
stage.
dancing away from them.
And they're making this big old dance scene out of them chasing her.
Yeah.
It's literally so genius.
They make it a really good show.
It's fantastic. And if you didn't know, you would think it was all choreographed
Yeah,
that way.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
you
why
would.
it's so funny.
Mhm. It's fantastic.
I like that song too.
Mhm.
She's good. Fantastico.
That was some really good input, Luis. Thank you.
Fantastico.
Fantastic.
I won't lie though. Maybe there's more to that cultural Llorona story that I don't know about, but the lyrics didn't make any sense to me.
What, the song? That song?
Yeah,
Tell us.
because I mean, if I remember correctly, she's almost like, I don't know. It seemed to me like she was kind of like admiring La Llorona in a sense.
Would you like to explain who La Llorona is? Because most people,
Based off-
most non-Hispanic people, don't know.
Including me. Let's go.
Based off of what
Explain.
my
Explain.
what my tias and grandma in Mexico would say is that the Llorona was almost like I would say kind of like the equivalent of the Blair Witch Project in the sense.
The White Witch.
She's
The
like a
White Witch
witch.
from Delaware, from wherever.
Oh, you know what? I think I do. I think I have heard this story.
But you know what? Apparently, this whole Llorona or witch, it spans across a lot of cultures. But anyways,
Sure.
La Llorona drowned 2 or 3 of her kids, I think, and she is La Llorona because
What the heck?
llorar is cry.
Mm-hmm.
So she is the crier.
The weeping woman.
Yeah,
Yep.
the weeping woman, because she was insane, drowned her kids, realized what she did, and she cried for the rest of eternity as a spirit stuck in limbo. And
Well,
pretty
that
much,
is terrifying.
yeah, and pretty much
Mhm.
like what my grandma and my aunts would tell us is like, you better hurry your behind home before the sun goes down, or else La Llorona's gonna take you with
She'll
her.
Get you. Okay.
But and when
And
she's,
drown you.
and yeah, and when she's singing this song,
I thought there was nothing
She's-
scary in this
she's-
movie.
no. Again, like I said, in the song, it's almost as if she has some kind of compassion or understanding towards La Llorona, and I'm like thinking,
Is it compassion to like her pain or is it compassion to
That's
like
what
her
I
situation
honestly
where she drowned her
couldn't-
children?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, now that you bring that up, I hope it's that.
Right.
Because if not, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I
you
feel for
know.
you, La Llorona. You lost your whole family, and that's very sad. And sometimes I cry too.
Yeah, it could be that.
That's what I
yeah.
assume it is, but who knows?
But that was just confusing for me.
Yeah.
know.
Gotcha. But good song,
Song
regardless.
was lit.
Song was lit.
So end of story.
Canción era encendida.
They get the pick from Ernesto. Miguel gets dropped off the top of that tower and saved at the very last second by.
but the most important thing is that the aunt was filming him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All
Yeah,
that mean stuff he said.
They turned the camera on to Ernesto and he outed himself as an evil murderer fraud.
Floozy.
Floozy. I mean,
Floozy.
yeah, that too.
Totally.
Sure. And
His
so,
own type of flues.
So his reputation is ruined. They get the picture, right,
Yes.
of Hector.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, the picture went
They
bye
flew
bye.
away.
That's right. So
It
all
went
hope,
into the
all
water.
hope was lost for a moment there until
Miguel
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 gets his
Tito.
blessing. He goes back home, and then has a nice long talk with Mama Coco.
Nice long scene.
Nice long sing. Everybody cries.
Including me every time I watch it.
We will literally just go over this as if it wasn't there because I hate to cry.
Granted, I cry less each time, but it's still there. Still crying. Still
Yeah.
sad.
But you make me nervous because sometimes you cry in like weird times. You're like, so and so just stubbed their toe and I cried.
That has never happened.
Yes. So, and then we find out that Mama Coco had the other piece of the ripped picture.
Right.
This whole
And it
the
was
dang
entire
time.
Hector. Yeah, because she saved all of his letters, which is so cute.
Right.
And all of his
I'm trying to think
songs.
of how old she must have been, and I was thinking maybe like 5.
Oh, when he
I thought you meant
left?
in the movie.
Right,
I was
yeah.
like, what?
No, when
When
Hector,
Hector
left.
left.
Yeah,
Because
she
she
was
was
small.
able to talk, but she was pretty small.
Yeah, I'd say like 3 to 5. Somewhere in there.
Very
Yeah.
small.
But she remembered him for the rest of her life, literally, or was trying to.
She
remember
did,
him.
but and then this also kind of sounds weird, but coming from my grandpa had dementia and Alzheimer's, which obviously Coco has in this. As you start to degrade, your short-term memories go away, but your long-term memories kind
Exactly.
of come up. So I think that's probably why she was like, Papa?
Right.
Because she felt alone, but she could remember that he was supposed to come back, which
Exactly.
literally makes me cry even more, because that's what my grandpa had, and so it was pretty sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, that's the scene that hits every single person. I
Yeah, if you don't cry during that scene, I don't know.
because the
cry,
fact
Emily?
that the
I
fact
did
that
cry.
the song
What?
brings
I did.
back her memory is like incredible.
And then they sing the song the way it's actually supposed to be sang,
Right.
which is slow and
Yes.
sweet. Remember me.
And when they
sad.
sing it like a little kid too, when she sings it
Yes.
as like her child voice, I'm like, oh God, stop!
right.
And then I look over at Addie, and she's just like, chewing on her hair, and I'm like, okay, life is good.
All right.
And then you see the whole
Beans.
family crying. And then she's like I said, she's like awakened, and she's like, my papa was a musician. And then she just starts talking about it. And it's weird because in Alzheimer's, you do have those moments of clarity where like something gets remembered. And I was like, oh my gosh, she remembers. And
Yeah.
then she could die in peace. And it was pretty nice.
Exactly. And then boom,
Okay,
the,
Disney.
the Footloose curse is canceled.
The Footloose
everybody,
curse is canceled.
everybody loves music again.
Thank
Miguel's
goodness.
got a whole mariachi suit now. It's
I know.
awesome.
Yeah,
he got
he's killing
upgraded
it.
real
Mhm.
quick.
Yes, the whole family's dancing and singing, and it's beautiful to see, and everybody's crying in the
And they
theater.
got like a, what do you call that?
And
An accordion and a
Yeah.
violin.
And Hector got to cross over for the first time.
Yes, he
exactly.
did.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And Dante became an Alebrije.
Truth.
It was
That's
important,
true.
you guys. I love Dante. He was so cute.
He
and
was
Pepito.
cute.
He was a very funny companion.
His tongue is
animal.
always like out and like up on his
It's
face.
because those dogs, after a certain point, I guess, like they have, especially that dog in particular, some kind of genetic thing where like their teeth.
Yeah, they have
aren't
like
as good.
degenerative
Yeah.
teeth
And
issues.
then their
Oh.
tongues just flow out.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Fun fact, it was historically accurate that there was a Xolo, is it
Mhm.
right? A Xolo dog in this because Frida Kahlo and her husband actually knew that like these dogs were endangered and like if you've seen one in real life, they're not the cutest.
No.
Like they're not supposed to be.
Sure.
So they knew like
They're
nobody loved
dingo-y.
these dogs and they were endangered. So she incorporated it into her art, and they used to raise money for the Jolo dog, and then it became like popular.
Oh, that's amazing because Frida Kahlo in the movie recognizes Dante.
yeah.
That's,
She's like, oh, the Jolo dog,
that's cool.
which is like so cute.
Which
I
that's
did not
this
know
whole other thing because Frida in this movie is so funny. And there's
at first, I thought it was really weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw it with the papaya scene, I was like, okay.
if
But
you
as I watch it more, she's funny.
well, you have to like if you've never seen Frida's art or like read anything about her, then I could see where it's like really weird. But she was kind of a weird lady.
Right.
Like she just had very interesting taste, and so it was. I think that they did a really good job in portraying her.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
At least based on what she seems like from the outside.
Right. Yes.
But it was cool because there was actually a lot of really famous Mexican cameos in here. So, like you said, Frida Kahlo. There was Rodolfo Guzman Huerta, also known as El Santo, the famous luchador.
That was hilarious.
Mexican singers and actors Jorge Negrete and Pedro Infante. Am I saying all this right? Oh, Cantinflas. Oh, Cantinflas. We have all these books over here. When we're done here, you guys can go over to our little book section for Addie, and you'll see all of these names.
So
Nice.
are all these guys? They were cameos in The Land of the Dead.
Yes.
So all these are past artists.
Yes. And
how,
then
how long ago did like some of them die?
it depends.
Oh,
Some of them
they're
are
from
like
all different eras.
yes, which
Okay.
is really cool. Like they have the Mexican Revolution leader Emiliano Zapata, so that's like much
Way back.
farther back.
Gotcha.
And then they have the Mexican film actress and singer Maria Felix. I don't know how to say Felix in Spanish. Felix. There you go. So it's just really interesting that they were able to incorporate things from our people from all of these different generations.
Right.
That's super cool.
And they're all kind of like intermixing with each other in this Land of the Dead, which I thought was really cool.
That's awesome. I have a fun fact about the story. So when this movie was first being written, it was first being pitched to Disney by the director Lee Unkrich. The story was going to be set in America by a young Mexican boy who was like discovering his Mexican heritage after his mother died. So that's when he was going to learn to like celebrate Dia de los Muertos and stuff like that, and then get to the Land of the Dead eventually. But the entire like crew and writing team realized that like they didn't really have a point of view from like the straight up Mexican culture. It was all Americanized, and,
Right.
they wanted to go deeper into the Mexican culture and get more out of it. And I think that was the right choice.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It sounds like they did like years and years and years worth of field research.
Yes.
Which is super cool because you can I feel like I can feel it. And it's
Yeah,
really cool
definitely.
because I have multiple friends who frequent Mexico or have been to Mexico a lot, even like when they were kids, and they told me that especially when they were going through the town in the beginning, they said that brought back so many fond memories because that's what Mexico felt like
Right.
to them. Obviously, they haven't visited the Land of the Dead, so nobody really knows.
All right.
But the town, the feel, the mariachis, the plaza, just the way that the people mingle, just kind of the familial feel of the whole town was very true to what they remembered when they had visited Mexico, which
Yeah.
is really cool. Especially like deeper parts of Mexico, not like super touristy
Right.
places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I thought it was weird because I mean I know they did a ton of research, but it was bugging me at first that in the movie they were saying Dia de Muertos when I'm so used to saying Dia de los Muertos, and it like bugged me for a long time. I was like, why are they like leaving out a word? But it's because like in like actual Mexico and like Spanish culture, like the true name for it is just Dia de Muertos. They don't say the los, and so I was like, oh well, now I know.
Well, and that was cool because they chose to use Spanish words.
Yeah.
Like in place of what we would say. What did he keep calling him? What did Hector keep calling Miguel? Now I can't remember.
Camache.
Chamaco.
Chamaco. Yeah. And at first people would be like, oh, what is that, right? But it's cool that they would use words like that just
Yeah.
because that is what, older people will use for kids around them. It's like an endearing, hey kid,
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yes.
What, did you
Makes
guys watch this in Spanish a couple times, right?
We haven't yet, actually.
Oh, you haven't?
haven't.
We've been
Oh,
meaning to
okay.
watch with my parents and Addie.
Gotcha. Okay,
So we will.
I was going to ask you some questions, like if it felt like more authentic or.
I
Well,
won't
and
even
I-
lie.
and I
I'm
think-
super excited to do that.
And I think the kid who voiced Miguel, like, I'm pretty sure they did the same.
Right. Yeah. I think it
voices.
was almost all the same cast that did the Spanish version of the film.
I'm pretty sure. I have another fun fact about the Dia de los Muertos things. So that was what the film was originally titled, was Dia de los Muertos. But then the Walt Disney Company requested to trademark the phrase
Oh yeah.
Dia de los Muertos for like merchandising applications and things, which was met with significant criticism.
Can you imagine?
Because of cultural appropriation and
Yeah, I would-
exploitation. So then they
I
just
would literally
renamed-
smack down.
so
You are
then they just
stupid.
Goodness
renamed
gracious.
the title to Coco.
Yeah.
I think it's
Smart
smarter
move.
because I mean, regardless of the fact that I think that's just totally ridiculous.
Cheesy
Yes, but then
and
after that,
sleazy.
they
In
decided to
this,
hire.
you don't know what it's about.
Right. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Mhm.
They after that they hired like technical consultants. Like they hired the Mexican American cartoonist and a playwright and the former CEO of the Mexican Heritage Corporation to like help them with the film. After that, so good call.
They got smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Good call.
Yeah. Good
Jeez.
call.
Hey,
Disney.
Louis.
Yep.
Dun 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 dun
Yep.
dun 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 dun. Mexico battle.
Yep. All right,
Mexico
for this
battle.
week's battle, we're going to bring the whole topic back of the matriarchal family.
Okay.
And in this question, I ask you, who was more scared of the Rivera women? Was it Papa Julio, Mama Coco's husband, or Hector, Mama Imelda's husband?
So I'm going to show you guys the pictures so that you remember. So Papa Julio is dead.
Right.
Yeah, he's
In-
the one that was wearing the little hat. He's a little short one.
Yes, and he was really good at wingtips, right?
Yes.
So he's the little short one, and he seems pretty dang terrified.
Yes.
Right? And then Hector is Mama Imelda's, husband, yes.
Mhm.
And he is also.
So who's more scared of the Rivera woman?
So I remember
You mean
in
Mama Imelda?
I remember, yeah, exactly. I remember in that scene when Miguel is about to get his blessing from Mama Imelda, after he comes back the first time and is like, well, I don't want somebody else give me a blessing, and Papa Julio just
He literally went into his shirt like a turtle.
he's like, oh no,
No.
I'm already dead. She will kill me. Okay, there's
I will
no
be
way.
double dead. She will rip over over to that ofrenda and take my picture off.
So he's pretty scared. Hector, I feel like he's been avoiding his ex-wife for like dozens of years or whatever in the afterlife. So that
Yeah,
seems
it's like 5 generations later,
Yeah.
so, you know.
at least Papa Julio's hanging out with her. You know, Hector's scared.
Yeah, but have you ever heard that expression, like, keep your friends close but your enemies closer?
Oh, my gosh.
So in terms of who's more of
I need to know what scared means, though. I know that sounds really stupid, but, like, because I feel like Papa Julio lives in constant terror of
All right. All right. How's this? Both of them are sitting at the dinner table.
mhm.
Both of them get offered more tamales by each.
Oh no.
But they're really, really not hungry.
they're both
Who are they
full.
most likely to say no to?
Who's more likely to say no or yes? Because yes would be more
Papa
scared.
Julio's like, yeah, give me some more tamales.
Yeah, I think Papa Julio's more scared.
Hector might say no.
Yeah.
So whoever says yes is going to be obviously more scary.
More
They
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
their
No,
I
percussion.
think-
then
Yeah,
it's Papa
it's
Julio.
Julio. Mhm.
Papa Julio.
That's why he's chunkier.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Hector
So
might
I-
at least try to like sing his way out of it.
You
or
know
something
what's
like
funny
that.
Here's
to
my
me is like
reasoning.
technically if they're skeletons, then the bones don't get fat, but he's chunky.
He's a-
Well, he had big
he's a
bones.
torta.
He's a torta.
So my rationale for choosing Papa Julio is because, I mean, honestly, Coco didn't really seem like that much of a
We don't
very
know. Yeah.
dominating
Right,
woman.
we never
No.
got to see her as a.
We don't
I mean,
know.
you kind of don't get that though.
Yeah, we don't get to see
You
her as
know?
like an adult.
Yeah,
before
her hair is in pigtail
her
braids, so.
dimension.
But the reason why I think he would is because he is the son-in-law of the most dominating
Right.
woman in the family.
That's very
And
true.
He's obviously not in the kind of storyline that they did at the beginning with the stick figures. When he shows up into the family, and the mom's kind of like looking at him, he looks like
He
already
looks scared.
He's
So I'm
already
like,
scared.
Oh, nah,
And then Mommy
this
Imelda
guy.
taught him how to make shoes.
You know,
Yeah,
and-
I'll learn wingtips. Yeah, oh, sure, no problem.
I'll do whatever.
Fine.
You know, wingtips, I'll be the best at it. You know, so that's why I go with Papa Julio,
Yeah.
just because he's like the outsider in the family.
I
In a
agree.
sense.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah,
That was a good one,
I
Lou.
think I agree as
He is
well.
the Papa Julio.
Papa Julio, the scaredy
The
one.
Papa
His
Julio.
her brothers are pretty scared though too. Oscar and Felipe.
Felipe, yes.
I like them.
They're hilarious.
The twins.
Nunchuck arms.
Nunchuck arms. All right, you guys want to hear some more Easter eggs?
Sure.
Pizza truck.
So yes,
That's the only one I physically saw.
Oh,
Pizza Planet truck. I'm so happy that it happens right at the beginning, so that there's no like breaking of the excitement of like the cultural aspects in the
Right.
middle of the movie. Because I was really afraid going into it that we were going to see all of these like
yeah.
Easter eggs like blaringly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Luxo ball alabrije.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nice.
Right. But we see it go by really quickly. But the cool thing about this Pizza Planet truck is that it says Pizza Planeta.
Ah, nice.
Pizza Planeta.
Man,
on the
Pizza
truck.
Planet is
Why
a
am I
huge
saying
franchise.
things like with an Italian accent? It's because Michael Giacchino did the music, is why.
Giacchino. Another cool thing, and I actually saw this one when we were watching the movie the second time, and I made Luis pause the movie, go back, rewatch. There are Toy Story and Monsters Inc. piñatas hanging in the plaza when Miguel is shining shoes.
Yeah, I saw that too.
was Mike. It was
Mhm.
Buzz and Woody. But there are also, if you really slow it down, and you look at when Miguel is running past at the beginning to run to the plaza with Dante, there are little alebrije figures. Apparently, a couple of them were also. I see there's a car, and somewhere in there is a green little dinosaur-looking thing that could be considered Arlo.
Oh, from the
There's
dinosaur.
also Dory, Destiny, Remy, and Nemo.
Wow.
And at the end of the table, there is a Pepita Alebrije.
Yeah, I noticed the Pepita. I'm obsessed with Pepita.
So it's super cool because he runs by and you see all of the little. Oh, and apparently there's a Doug from Up too.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
man.
There's just all kinds of Pixar Alebrijes up in there.
Alebrijes.
We also see Pepita as the spirit guide, in like a little plushie on the ofrenda up
Oh.
next to her picture. So one of the really cool things, if you look close at the ofrenda, the one in their house doesn't have as much food. I mean, there's a couple things, especially like when Dante jumps up there and is eating. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? Is
Spirit
it mole?
animal right there.
Right? He's up there eating or whatever. But there is an alebrije of Pepita, but there's also a shoe. Like up next to her picture. I thought that was just so
Yeah, I
freaking
saw
cute.
the shoe.
Another thing, you do see the Luxo ball in this movie.
Okay.
It's when they're in and they're meeting the Frida Kahlo, or real Frida, backstage before the show. And when the monkey's jumping around.
Yeah.
Oh, her Alebrije.
Yes, when her Alebrije is jumping around, you see the Luxo ball in the corner. But there's also a Dante short called Dante's Lunch. And they go past a stand that has a whole bunch of luchador masks, and there is a luchador mask painted as the Luxo ball, which is freaking
that's
hilarious.
cool.
Look at this. Look at the picture. It's really funny.
Oh, wow.
Isn't
It's
that
got
hilarious?
the star right in the forehead.
Yes, like that's the coolest luchador I've ever seen. You see A113 a couple times. The first time it's on the front of De La Cruz's, what do you call this? Help me.
His
Record?
like an album
Album.
cover.
His
Cover.
album cover. You also see it on the door of the office where the people trying to get lost people back to thing is the thing. What is it? What do you call that?
When he's getting arrested?
The Department of these Human Connection Relations.
Oh,
something like
okay.
that. When he's in the office and they're trying to get his blessing to go back, the
Gotcha.
door name is A113.
Oh, okay.
There's an Incredibles movie poster on the wall when Hector and Miguel are walking down the street to the talent show. But it's funny because they all have skeleton faces.
Amazing.
And also, this one's fun. One of the acts that you see up on stage at the talent show is a skeleton wearing Sid's shirt from Toy Story, the black shirt with the white skull.
That's cool.
And lastly, we see Lightning McQueen on a kid's pair of shoes during Dante's lunch, the short. He's wearing little Lightning McQueen race car shoes. Of course he is.
Miguel made those.
Right?
Oh, no, he just shines shoes, huh?
This is fun, though. This isn't a... Well, I guess it's kind of an Easter egg. So 1921 was the year that Walt Disney made his first animation. And the Rivera family store on the outside, it says that they started in 1921, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's good. That's information that I wanted to know. Like how long ago it was that Imelda started the company.
It said 1921. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
A few generations ago.
Yeah. And then the last really cool thing, a lot of people have seen this, the end credits is Pixar's Ofrenda. Did you guys see that at the end of the credits?
I did not.
What? This is the coolest thing ever.
I didn't want to. I didn't get a
No,
chance.
we did in the actual theater.
Oh, well, yeah, when I first watched it, sure. But upon this watching, I didn't get a chance to watch
So
the
when you
credits.
watch, you go all the way through the credits. At the end, you see pictures start to pop up. And it ends up being an ofrenda for all the people who worked on this movie.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And it's really cool because it's all the people who inspired them. So there are loved ones of the people who worked on it. But then there's also famous people who helped inspire the different people at Pixar. There's a picture of Steve Jobs. And there's Don Rickles. He's the insult comic and the guy that does Mr. Potato Head.
Don Rickles.
John Ranft, we talk about him multiple times. He's the one who does Heimlich, and Jacques in Finding Nemo. So it's just really cool because they were able to put in their special people as well at the end of this film.
Their loved ones.
I thought that was really sweet.
That's great. Good stuff. This movie was good.
Cool.
Right?
It was all right.
Let's talk about money.
Money, honey.
Bling, bling, moneyed up. This movie had a budget of $175 million, which is a fair amount. But for Pixar, you know, they got to go all out. Its opening weekend, it made $50 million. In the U.S., their total gross was $209 million. And they had a cumulative worldwide gross of $807 million.
Oh, my goodness.
Am I correct in saying this is the highest grossing?
I believe that is correct.
For Pixar, yes, it is.
For Pixar. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, they're doing it up, doing it big. Let's see, is it? Yeah. Yeah, it's up there. Yeah, so that's how much money it made. Lots of money, very successful. On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 97%. I think only like the Toy Stories are above.
People love
Coco.
them Toy Stories.
Well, yeah, they're classics.
You can't go wrong. Okay, so who should we start with? You ready?
Oh, for our ratings?
Yeah.
Are we rating? Oh, my gosh.
Let's do some ratings.
I know, right?
All right.
As I said in the beginning, I think that this movie is dang near perfect. Like it's one of those movies that you can watch over and over and have all the same emotions hit you. You know, it's just as funny. It's just as tear-jerky. It's just as
Fun.
Fun, yeah.
You have a lot of fun.
Every single time you watch it. So, with that being said, am I going to give it or should I give it well, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll give it a 10. It's a 10. It's good. Good stuff. I'll watch it over and over.
Dang, a 10. All right. So, for me, I'm going to give it a 9.5. It is like the perfect Pixar movie. But the thing about Pixar is that they just keep getting better and better and better as they go along. So we'll see what the next one brings. Like, this is the perfect Pixar movie. So I give it a 9.5. The music is absolutely superb.
Superb.
Emily.
Giacchino.
Giacchino. You can't go wrong with Giacchino, guys.
I'm going to give it a 9.5. Boom. It's good.
Boom.
It's beautiful. It's eye-catching. I see something new every single time. I enjoy the story. I love the quips. Grandmas are so freaking funny.
Yeah.
Mama Imelda is my spirit animal. I freaking love her. And
She just pops up as an Alabrije.
yes,
She's like flying.
I love her so much. I have a Tsum Tsum of her, and I will hold on to that thing until I die. I love it.
I definitely think this movie's going to be like the new kid classic, too.
I hope so.
For sure.
It's
Luis.
funny, though, because even though I think it was that cool, like, it didn't get, like, Frozone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, I guess it's not a princess, and so
Yeah,
princesses
that's why.
usually get more
They
acclaim.
get more
They
attention.
blow up. Yeah.
Luis, what do you give this movie?
I'll go ahead and give it about a 9. It was good. It was awesome. I know we kind of, I want to say we touched on it briefly, only because I feel that my doing laundry on her face joke kind of killed the whole thing about the vibrant colors.
Oh my goodness.
But that was a big
You
thing
re-brought
for
it back
me.
up.
That was a big.
She looked amazing.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. The colors were gnarly. Given the fact that we have a very old television, it was still great. I could only imagine. Oh no, we did see it in your grandma's on that high def that one time, huh? All colors were amazing.
Right. Yeah. We saw some of it on a 4K TV not too long ago, and
And we were like, dang.
crazy amazing.
And then Andre was like, let's buy that TV.
Then you said,
Seriously, that's the movie that they should play like any movie on. Like,
Yes.
In
Ooh,
the-
is it
in,
Black
like, the
Friday?
Best Buy.
Like, here you
Yes.
go.
Coco.
It's that yellow, those marigolds, that like
For
vibrant
sure.
yellow.
Yeah.
Well, that was another thing I was gonna say. That flower is the only living thing in the land of the dead, or not the only living thing, but the only living plant.
Right.
So it's really crazy how the color and the way they make it almost like glow reflects off of everything else. It just makes it so
Makes it
amazing.
all bright and beautiful. It's purty.
I want some in my front yard.
This is a purty
Ooh,
movie.
yeah, that'd be pretty. It reminds me of fall, and I can't wait for fall. Yay!
But
Guess what?
We're still in the thick of summer.
No, it's August, which means it's almost September 1st, which means it's almost Halloween, which means pumpkin spice, everything.
Pumpkin spice.
Everything.
We're gonna
Pumpkin
get a
spice,
pumpkin. I like some pumpkin pie.
everything.
Pumpkin
Pumpkin
pie
spice,
every day. Pumpkin pie
everything.
every day.
This is the white girl portion of the podcast.
Louis, I said that exact same thing to Luis earlier, and he looked at me and was like, "No."
We can just
Shut
we
up.
can just change that Mulan song instead of beef, pork, chicken. It's gonna be like pumpkin lattes, pie, donuts. I don't know if there's
Oh my
pumpkin donuts, but
goodness.
there probably is.
Speaking of Mulan,
Mulan,
Fa
Mulan,
Mulan.
Mulan.
That is our next movie.
I'm so
Next week we'll be talking
Oh,
about-
a girl worth fighting for, yeah.
Talking about Emily in that song.
Are we?
Oh. Okay.
No?
All
All right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oh.
Moving along.
Yes, we're gonna watch Mulan. Because she's amazing.
I'm so excited. I can't stop smiling.
And it's on
I
the
love this.
Netflix, and you can't not sing that whole album. Like, let's be real.
Right.
It's gonna be another. I consider this one of our Disney classics, so there's gonna be a lot of singing, just like there was in Mermaid and Aladdin episodes, guys.
yeah.
So
Truth.
get ready for
Yeah,
it.
get
And
your-
Hercules.
And Hercules.
Get your ears ready for our beautiful voices.
I'm pretty sure that entire episode was singing.
I will say, though, we got to take it back to last week's episode for 1 second. I'm pretty sure Luis will never, ever, 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 ever let me watch Muppets Treasure Island again.
Why?
Because I sang the songs
Oh,
for like
no.
2 weeks straight.
See, I don't know the songs very well, so they didn't.
Literally was like sailing for adventure on the big blue wet thing for like 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
And he was like,
Shut up.
please stop.
That's what happened with Hercules, though.
Please save
Yeah.
me.
But the only thing is that we were both doing it, so it was.
It's different when only one of you
Yeah,
is
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I didn't remember too many of the songs. From
Yeah.
Muppet Treasure Island. Speaking of Muppet Treasure Island, though, on last week's episode, we got a comment on YouTube. I just want to clear the air.
I think we got roasted.
This comment comes from Mario 500 Now. He said, one of the speakers in the recording was probably referencing a certain TV program named The Muppets for a certain company of broadcasters named the American Broadcasting Company, ABC, and had probably mistook the National Broadcasting Company, NBC, as the company for which the program was produced. So, thank
We
you
know
for that.
nothing.
Thank you for that very nerdy comment, Mario 500 Now. I got it. Not NBC, ABC. Whoopsie daisy.
Once again, disclaimer: we know nothing.
We don't know much. Especially which
We
networks
know
are owned by
nothing.
Disney. It's the Muppets on
Sailing for
NBC or
adventure on the
NBC?
deep blue sea. There you go, Emily. I sang it.
I appreciate it.
Sailing for
on
adventure
the
on
big
the
blue
ABC.
wet thing. I said deep blue sea. I
No,
even
one of
said
them
that.
they say it many different ways, and you said it both right. Thank you.
Okay, I did it, guys.
We nailed it.
You know what? Let's go get some pho or something since we're watching Mulan next week. Yum.
I won't even lie. We had Vietnamese food before this, and it was bomb.
Nah, we went to Vietnamese food. We went to Juju's the other day.
That's
Thai.
Thai
That's
food.
Thai.
Oh.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was delicious.
Anyway, Mulan's Chinese. Let's go get some chow mein. You guys, we want you to keep continue joining us on the internet, on social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram is the place to go. That's where all the action is happening. If you want to send us a message, you can slide into our DMs on any of those platforms, and we may read your message on the show.
Slide into our DMs.
Yeah.
To defeat Andre's
stuff.
blues because nobody messages him.
Or you can send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. You know I love emails, and I haven't gotten one in a while. The last person to send me an email was an advertising company or something like that.
Similarly, you can find us on Instagram, and we will be doing a giveaway.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to do a giveaway soon.
It's going to be a small giveaway, but it's going to be a smart giveaway. So you are
Yeah.
going to have to answer a question that we pose on our Instagram story. And for those of you who get it correct, you will be put into a drawing to win a little something fun that we picked up at Disneyland last time. Half of us were there.
So bring your brains.
Bring your brains.
Bring your brains. We got stuff for you. If you want to help out, keep the lights on here in the vault, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can subscribe to us on any podcast platform. We're on everything. We're on Google Play. We're on Stitcher. We're on YouTube. We're on iTunes. iTunes is a place you can go to leave us a rating and review. That really helps us get seen by other eyes or ears, however you're listening to this podcast. So go subscribe there, leave a rating or review. You can also help us out by shopping on Amazon. If you go to thewaltvaultpod.com/Amazon, you can click the link, bookmark it, and then anytime you shop on Amazon, you'll be contributing to us with a small percentage of your purchase at no additional cost to you. Isn't that fun? We're taking Amazon's money. Let's go. You can also help us out by signing up for our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/thewaltvault, and you'll get access to our after show, A Crack in the Vault, where we talk about some of the more adult aspects of some of these Disney movies and just other stuff. We just got more content for you over there. So check that out. You can sign up for as little as $1 or more. I also post my notes for all the movies. Those are fun and silly.
And bad reviews. That's my favorite
Oh yes,
part.
and we do some bad reviews. Yeah, I got a couple of those for Coco.
Oh, I'm sure they're hilarious. I
Yeah,
can't
so
wait.
go to patreon.com/wallball. Check us out there. You guys, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week for Mulan. The vault is now